Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg, this is Moon Magic Spirit, and today we are talking all about Imbolc, so come hang out with me while I do some refreshing around my house and yap about Imbolc with you. So grab a cozy drink, maybe light a candle, settle in, and let's get started. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the rich history of Imbolc, the symbolism, different ways to celebrate it. We're going to be talking about the meaning of it back in ancient times, kind of how we recognize and celebrate Imbolc in modern times. I'm going to give you different ideas for your altar, different ways to celebrate, and while I'm sitting here talking, I'm also going to be going through and doing my own resurgence of my altar for Imbolc. So I hope that when we transition to that part of the video, maybe you can sit with me and refresh your altar along with me. I would love that. Imbolc is a magical time that marks a halfway point between winter and spring. So we just had Yule, the winter solstice, at the end of December, and we're moving towards the end of March, which is the spring equinox, also known as Ostara. So Imbolc is right in the middle to help us get through the last hump of winter, and it's really about noticing the stirrings of spring. It's all about renewal, hope, feeling re-energized, moving towards action, waking up from our winter hibernation of rest, daydreaming, gathering ideas, and making that shift of gathering the last minute supplies that we need to plant the seeds for the new year to grow. One thing that I want to say when it comes to celebrating the pagan holidays and the different equinoxes and the in-between seasons is that, of course, it's important to celebrate things like day of, it's important to recognize things day of, but that energy isn't always there for 24 to 48 hours and then poof, it's gone, or like even 12 hours and poof, it's gone. So my rule of thumb is to lean into what feels right for you, because like the energy, like I said, it doesn't exist for a mere couple of hours and it's gone. Like this is an energy that's carrying us through the in-between time. It's the energy that's carrying us from Yule to Ostara. So it's this in-between energy, and with that, I say my practice within 2 weeks of this date, like this energy is going to be the most potent, and do things when it feels right. If the day of the holiday comes around and you're not in a good mood and you don't want to celebrate that day, that's fine. Celebrate in a few days when you feel better. The energy will still be there. The vibes will still be immaculate. You're still good. So all that being said, if you're watching this video after February 3rd, no worries, you're good. I would say you're good to celebrate and have the vibes of Imbolc through the whole entire month of February. I mean, look at Christmas, for example. We just don't celebrate Christmas on Christmas Day and that's it. People are setting up decorations and putting their trees up after Thanksgiving in November. They're spending the whole month doing winter activities, building snowmen, going shopping, going ice skating, you know, building gingerbread houses, looking at Christmas lights. Like it's a whole month of activities that even carry on after Christmas. So you can think of these pagan holidays as a similar vibe. Like there's no strict hard rules. Let's dive into the history of Imbolc. Everyone has, depending on where you're from, where your roots are, everyone has different days that this is celebrated. Some practices it's February 1st, other practices it's February 2nd, and what I'm doing is the first Monday of February, which is February 3rd this year. Essentially, this is the crossroads between winter and spring, like I've been saying. We're starting to see the stirrings of life. If you live somewhere where it's very seasonal and you may begin to see the snow melt, you may see things sprout out between the frozen tundra. If you live somewhere where you don't quite get the seasons, like in the desert, you still notice a shift in the temperature, a shift in how things feel. You notice that things are starting to change around you in your environment. This is acknowledgement that the darker days of the year are officially over. Yule is like the celebration of the longest night, and then each night becomes shorter and the days get longer. But Imbolc is truly the celebration and return of light. Imbolc is going to usher in the beginning phases of initiation, and we feel initiation truly at the spring equinox with Aries season. Those both coincide together and the energy is really there. So this is like the beginning stirrings of initiation, of transformation. This is bringing hope, hope to light. Imbolc is also often associated with gestation and birth. The fertility goddess Brigid is honored during this time, and some people can be a little offended by the use of fertility. So fertility doesn't mean, you know, giving life to another human being. It can be giving birth or giving life to creativity, to a project, to something new. So when we talk about fertility around this time of year or any time of year, it's not about you as a person bringing a human into this life and giving birth that way. Fertility has so much more meaning to it, in my opinion, other than that. We give birth to things constantly, all the time. It's the recognition of things starting anew. And also, as a really quick side note, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you will be celebrating Lunasa, which is the harvest festival, a celebration of active work, harvesting crops, showing gratitude for your achievement. So if you're in the southern hemisphere, I do have a blog post on Lunasa, which will be linked down below, along with the post about Imbolc that will be coming out soon. In past times, many did not survive the harsh winter of Yule. There is a lot of grief that comes with celebrating Imbolc. It's a time for grief, it's a time for mourning, it's a time for paying tribute to what was lost over winter, what didn't make it through. Because when we talk about Lunasa, the harvest season, that's like gathering your crops in preparing for winter and hoping that you have enough to sustain you through winter where everything has died and transformed. And so there was grief and a period of mourning in these ancient times that came with Yule. In modern day times, not so much. We have enough to sustain us throughout the year. Well, people would recognize the grief and mourning that came with Imbolc. It was also a time of celebration and merriment for surviving the winter months, for surviving the darkness, for making it through the other side. So a lot of people spent this time connecting with friends, leaving their house, going out again, going to the town square, giving thanks, having these feasts to show their gratitude of survival. So now we can kind of take this and look at how to celebrate Imbolc in modern times. As we move into talking about and celebrating Imbolc in modern times, I'm going to go and refresh my altar for Imbolc. So if you want to do that with me, you want a body double, we're going to get into that now. Imbolc is a really great time of year to cleanse your house and your sacred spaces, reconnect with your friends, and become less of a recluse. So if you weren't feeling like the New Year's rush to clean your house, to get rid of the stagnant energy, now is a really, really great time to do it in between the phases of winter to spring. And I really like using sound cleansing. You can use bells for this. You can use incense. You can burn herbs, anything. You can also use a simmer pot, anything that you feel that resonates the most with you. The only thing to note is, regardless of which practice you decide to use, be sure to open up your windows so the stagnant energy can exit your house, and you can just set a simple intention of, may this space be cleansed of any negative energy, any negativity, any negative entity, any stagnant energy is no longer welcome here. May you bring in whatever cleansing energy, may you bring in creativity, may you bring flow, may you bring inspiration, whatever it is. You can customize your intention to what you want to welcome into your house. Or if you just want it to be a cleanse and to be gone with the stagnant energy, that is totally fine as well. This is all about ridding yourself of negative thought patterns, old desires, or people who no longer add to or enrich your life. This can also mean cleaning out your follow list on social media. It's a really good time to check out, who are you following? Do you resonate with their content? Do you like it? Is it adding to your life? Is it making you feel bad about yourself? So those are also different ways that you can kind of do some spring cleaning, so to say, around your home and around in your life. Because this type of energetic cleansing is going to create room for more prosperity, more positive energy, change, a shift in things. So for me personally, when I do my cleansing ritual, I have a lavender bundle, dry lavender, that I'm going to add, focusing on inviting peace and clarity into my space. Another kind of ritual idea that I think is really fun that you can do is an ice melting ritual. So what you want to do with this is write down on a small piece of paper what you want to release or what is no longer serving you, and place that small piece of paper in a bowl. Now in that bowl, I want you to add a couple of ice cubes on top of it, and while the ice is melting, visualize that ice melting away your doubts, your fears, your obstacles. And as the ice transforms into water, you can watch the writing on your paper begin to blur and like feel your worries start to dissolve. And it's really going to help clear the way for new opportunities to come into your life. If you are more of a crafty person, something fun and creative to do is to create Brigid's cross. I'm not this crafty. Every year I'm like, I need to buy one, and then I never see them out and about. If you know of a good place to buy Brigid's cross, let me know a shop that I can order one from. But you can also do different talismans of creating, painting, writing, or just something simply homemade. You can light candles and reflect on your desires to plan new beginnings. January was a time for that thinking, that daydreaming, that wondering and curiosity around what our desires are, and now it's time for us to begin the process of getting ready to plant those seeds. So allow this time to practice your skills or develop new skills that you need to execute your wishes and what you want for this year. It's time to create new opportunities and choose new paths. Let's talk about altar ideas. So commonly, you will find Brigid's cross on altars, and her cross is typically made of straws, twigs, or cords. And of course, you can craft one or purchase one to have. And the cross is believed to ward off evil, welcome in abundance, and bring you luck and skill. I've seen people place this above their front door as well. So this year, I'm incorporating a small dish of milk infused with honey on my altar as an offering to Brigid to represent nourishment and sweetness for the year ahead. So having a food offering is a great thing to place on your altar. Just make sure you keep an eye on it. You can leave it out overnight. You want to check for spoilage in your food offerings, of course. If food offerings are not your thing, you can also adorn your altar with sprigs of lavender or white flowers. If you live in an area that has snowdrops, those would be amazing and beautiful for your altar. Any white, light green, or gold candles, because the candles and lighting the candles symbolizes the days beginning to lengthen. And you can also, if you have dried fruit, or you can easily dry fruit yourself, you can create really thin slices of lemon and orange to represent the brightness of the sun and ushering the sun back in, welcoming the sun back in. Different crystals to adorn your altar with or to carry with you around this time of year are amethyst, citrine, carnelian, bloodstone, and selenite. So in my opinion, you can feel free to leave your altar decorated like this until you're ready to redecorate for Ostara, or until you intuitively feel ready to switch it up again. When it comes to traditions of Imbolc and different offerings to leave, I kind of mentioned the milk and bread offering, so let's dive into that a little bit more. So offerings and activities are another way to honor and celebrate Imbolc. If you miss leaving an offering on February 3rd and still want to partake, feel free to do so until like about the 15th. And be sure to communicate with your ancestors, spirit guides, or any goddesses that you're working with to let them know that those offerings are for them and that it's just a symbol of your gratitude and your thanks for them being there and all the work that they do for us behind the scenes. You can also bake your own bread if that is your thing. So many of you are into sourdough. So if you are that talented, some fresh bread is like a top tier offering that you can leave if you are not a baker like me. Other bread is fine. You could pair it with butter, honey, a glass of milk. Again, is going to represent and welcome in the fertile health of if you want it to literally be a person, if you're trying to become pregnant, if that's on your list this year for manifesting. But it can also be fertile health of creativity, of creation, regeneration, intentions like that. Fire jumping is another old school Imbolc tradition. Back in the day, they would create these really, really large, tall bonfires, and it would almost be a competition of people jumping over it to see who could jump over the fire. So, not exactly fire safe, not exactly the smartest thing to do. So you can carry this out by lighting a tea candle and hopping over it with an intention of bringing in luck and abundance instead of jumping over massive bonfires like our ancestors commonly did. This is said, again, to bring in good luck, protection. Lighting a candle and setting it in the same intention can also suffice. You don't have to jump over it. Just lighting it, thinking of that intention is good enough. As mentioned earlier, smoke cleansing with dried herbs or incense to clean out your space of stagnant negative energy. Smoke also brings our intention and prayers into the astral, as does the steam from a simmer pot, as does the sound from bells. And just to give you some examples, last year I celebrated Imbolc by dusting off my altars and cleansing the energy. I adorned my ancestor altar with sliced oranges that were dried out. I lit a candle with intentions for the months ahead. And it just reminded me how powerful it can be to honor the small yet significant shifts in between seasons. So this year, I plan on doing something really similar by cleansing my space, setting up my new altar, lighting candles to signify the return of light, as you will see in this video, and just leaving out some food offerings for Brigid and for my ancestors as well. Finally, another great way and simple way and accessible way to celebrate Imbolc is to just spend some time journaling, meditating, writing poetry, whatever feels good to you, whatever your vibe is. And if you are someone that's like not traditionally into poetry, I have a really fun suggestion for you. I love bibliomancy. It's a really fun way to do spell work and to create poems. So what I would suggest to you is to grab a book. It could be your favorite book, a book you've never read before, and you just want to intuitively flip through the pages. You're not like scanning and reading. You're just going to scan and see what words jump out to you. And you're going to write those down on a piece of paper. So I would set a timer for 3 minutes, or maybe until you get at least 20 words. The more, the better, the more fun it will be. Look over your words and see what sentences you can form together. And this is supposed to be fun. It doesn't have to make sense. Like if you say, I believe crow, that can be a sentence. Does it make sense? No. But it makes sense to you and it's fun. So it's like a good practice to let go of that perfectionism that a lot of us carry. I really like this idea because it's like a fun, creative offering to leave out on your altar if you don't feel like doing anything else or don't have the means to do anything else. Let me know in the comments down below how you're going to celebrate. Like, are you gonna try the poetry bibliomancy exercise? Let me know. If journaling is more your thing, I'm gonna leave you with some journal prompts before we end today's video to give you some inspiration if you're feeling a little lost on what to reflect and journal on this time of year. What seeds of intention did I plant this winter? Which of those seeds do you need to compost? And which do you need to begin to nurture? What old patterns or habits are you ready to release as the earth awakens? And lastly, how can you embody hope and renewal in your day-to-day life? That is it, my friends. Earth is reawakening and so are we. I really hope you enjoyed today's video on Imbolc. There will be more to come throughout the year. Be sure to let me know in the comments how you plan on celebrating or how you celebrated last year. I would love to hear from you. And this is a really great way to spread ideas to our fellow witches and practitioners. Beauty of social media. So I would love to hear all about your celebrations and rituals. Thank you so much for your time and energy. I really appreciate you. blessed Imbolc, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.